Bought a pair of shoes off a drug dealer. Don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day. My name's Tony Ranger, tattooist. About 23 years now. No, 32 years. Got my first tattoo from Paul Braniff. It was a design that I'd drawn up myself. I just took it in, got chatting while Paul was doing the tattoo. He liked the artwork and that, so he offered to buy some flash off me, which was good because I was unemployed at the time. It wasn't until a few months later that I'd heard rumours that there was a couple of bikers looking for me, and I'd been hanging around a few sort of nefarious types at the time. And I thought, oh shit, what have I done? And it wasn't until I was getting some artwork photocopied, and the fella there, James, he told me, oh no, it's Paul and Todd that are looking for you. So I went, oh shit. Went back into the tattoo shop, and Paul offered me an apprenticeship.
It's Tony and the old man. The old man tattooing Dwayne Cash.
Oh, look at that is.
Yeah. First tattoo.
Back in the 90s, putting a tattoo sign up in front of a tattoo shop was like putting a swear word up. I know for a fact Paul and that had tried to get ground level shops in main areas and stuff, but nobody would touch it. Sort of had a tattooist to an area, and that tattooist defended that area. Backyards were a big no-no back then. In fact, tattooists used to hunt them down and do all sorts of things to them to make them move on or give up the trade. There he is, we remember that face.
Yep, oh man. That's me doing my first tattoo right there. A tribal armband.
Was that your first one?
I've known Tony now probably since I was about 10 or 11 years old. Yeah, he apprenticed under Dad, and yeah, I was only a kid. I used to come in, work Saturdays. You know, his art alone was just insane. Howdy.
How you going?
I'll have a look once you take all that stuff off. I can't really see it at the moment. It was good, you know, we do something wrong, you know, Paul, not so much tell you that it was wrong stuff, but he'd make hints. But if you didn't act on those hints, you're in trouble. He was one of the best tattooers in Australia, you know, at the time. Led the way in portraits, used to do a lot of black and grey portraits. You know, he was the man that you'd hung up to do that sort of thing from anywhere in Australia sort of thing. Yeah, awesome fella, wish he was still here. And so nothing much, just a bit more cloud you want behind the sky.
Yeah, maybe a lightning or something.
Getting tattooed by Tony is pretty intense. He's probably the most painful person I've been tattooed off. He's pretty brutal, but I mean, you know, his quality is great, he's quick. And that's what you want, really. You want that awesome tattoo done efficiently, and Tony does it. Whether he's got water in his spray bottle or not.
Just sit up for me for a sec. Right.
So when I first come here, Tony finished the bottom half of this sleeve, my left arm, and then he did all my right arm, and then did all my left leg, and then all my right leg, and then pretty much my torso. But I just love his artwork. Then his style of tattooing as well.
Where it really took off was when Paul opened the second part of the studio. You know, we had a private rooms. He and I were in private rooms, and all I was doing was custom. I didn't do any walk-in, and busy as just doing you know, full sleeves, full back jobs, so on and so forth.
You know, people come in, they want a little skull or something like that. I'd just go, Tony's your man, he'll freehand it. They'd go in there, he'd scribble some, I don't know, look like some kind of fucking Picasso or something. They'd look in the mirror and be like, what the fuck is that? You know, and we'd have to say, just trust it, man. And then they'd end up with this fucking amazing tattoo.
Yeah, I like doing freehand because it's an original. It's not doing the same tattoos over and over again, and I like to create.
whether it's freehand or whether it's just custom stuff, drawing stuff up for people. I enjoy that much better than just reproducing. Always wanting other people's tattoos instead of something original that's just theirs. They want to be clones of somebody else.
I was quite surprised when I started tattooing the amount of tattooists that didn't draw flash. You know, they just copy stuff. Not a lot of people drew stuff up themselves and that. So there was a bit of a market there. So Paul helped me out a lot. He sort of funded it all at the start. It's more the stuff I like to do, demons and skulls and skeletons and all that sort of stuff. Fairy killers, they were popular at one stage too. Little goblins belting the hell out of fairies with hammers and God knows what.
Yeah, man, there wasn't a shop around that didn't have Tony Ranger flash in it. Like, you know, everyone was making a killing off the little bangers in there, you know, down to his Dead Kellys. Everyone knows Dead Kelly. If you don't, then where you been?
And the Dead Kellys, that was one of my biggest sellers. They were really popular. Every tattooist wanted to buy that flash and lost count of how many times I've seen it done, so how many times it got ripped off.
Freak people out and they were like, it's crazy. But all these, man, these have all been done. I've personally tattooed, honestly, I've personally tattooed everything off these sheets. Off any sheet you pull out, I can tell you I've tattooed it.
So ages ago, I brought out all these sets were Tony Ranger sets, and then I brought out this one was like an Evil Anthony set, because as you saw, the Tony Ranger sets had a little bit of everything in them, but this was more just one sort of thing. So this was just all devils and demons.
Well, I guess to a stranger, Tony Ranger would be, you know, looking at his art, they'd see him as someone who has really bad dreams, who's a little bit twisted in what he can draw and, you know, what he's into and likes. But when they actually meet Tony, he's just the nicest, placid dude, you know, like the total opposite to what his art looks like.
You want to get tattooed by me, I have an Instagram at TonyRanger_, or contact the shop by email, Facebook, any of those sorts of things.